Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful morning here. Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I'm flying solo today, so we're going to have to do the Q&A with just me, so I'm going to have to be reading. So here we are for the Q&A for Energy Healing for Animals Masterclass. And it is time for coffee. I have been out with horses, hiked dogs, meditated, worked out, and am ready for coffee, ready for questions. So if you're new to me, my name is Joan Ranquet, and I'm an animal communicator, author. I'm a bunch of other stuff, TEDx speaker, and founder of Communication with All Life University. And the school is set up for people to learn animal communication or become an animal communicator, to learn energy healing or become an energy healer. And we have body work coming out. We have acupressure, ongoing acupressure with the certification program coming into place. And we will have the nature and wildlife starting up next March. So we have a lot in the works. And so that's why I love doing these master classes, just to get people to see if it's something they want to do. Or maybe it's just going to help your animals at home, and that's no small thing. So I get it. I'm not, I retired as an animal communicator a while ago, and I did it so that my students and graduates, happy Saturday, Jane. Hi, Leslie. I retired from being an animal communicator so that my students and the teachers, it's their turn, and I'm very clear that it's their turn. And I've seen, every now and then I do go and, I go to someone's house or barn, or I do a phone call or Zoom. So I do still, on occasion, do some sessions. And a friend of mine that was supposed to have a session, friend of a friend that was supposed to have a session a few months ago, went into some, right about the time that I retired, went into chemo and didn't end up using my services. So I'm doing it as a celebration of out of chemo this week. But one of the things that happened when he couldn't use me was he went and he found someone else. And he said that the person offered such generalities about the animal. And I just thought, oh my God, that is why I have the school. And that is why I'm so particular about making sure that people get really well educated, get very experienced, and are out there with practical knowledge and great ability. So there you go. There's my soapbox. I haven't even had a sip yet. Hold on. Okay. I can't read a thing, so I'm going to say hi, Gwendolyn. Hello, Reiki Animal Healing. Hi, Diane. Can you register for the bundle after this class today? Yes, and actually, I think, yeah, it's, there may be another day or so. I don't run all of that. It's so funny because people will send me things like, this meditation didn't work. It's like, I just send it to assist, but I'm pretty sure, yes. And I don't have, I'm at a little bit of a loss. Is Shannon here? I was wondering, Shannon, maybe you want to call me on Messenger, which I'm no good at Messenger. I don't even know if I have it on my iPad. I must, right? Because I think Yasmin, okay. All right, so good morning from San Francisco, from Tampa. So Diane, we'll make sure that you can buy it after this class. Tanya, good morning. Hello, Shelley. Michelle. All right, okay. Well, so there's all sorts of people here. There's Shannon. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Hello.
Good. Hello.
Gloria says, I just got the bundle. Hooray. Okay, thank you. That's awesome. Okay, so I'll read this, and then from here, Shannon, if you could read me questions. I'm minding a horse, and he has a fungus in his ear which comes back every year. Is it possible that he doesn't want to hear certain things that his mistress tells him? I would be more inclined to think that somebody isn't really looking after his immune system if that keeps recurring. I know that I have systemic things with one of my horses. I'm just not a big blamer of, I just find that there might be a holistic approach to getting to the bottom of that. I mean, it could be, I don't know the relationship between the horse and the person, but I imagine it's something more systemic that needs to be looked after. And often when you've got a lot of fungus recurring, there might be something in the diet to be looking at. And certainly building the immune system with a diet, the right nutrition, finding ways to mitigate the fungus. And then I would also be looking at what is the what sort of a program is he on? Is he getting out? Is he stuck in a stall? You know, all those things. I would look at something that was systemic like that from a very all the way around approach. But it could be that he doesn't want to hear. Shannon, are there any, so I hope that helps, because I think that there are a lot of foods could be really adding to something systemic. Okay, any other questions in here?
Not that I can see, but unfortunately with me calling you on Messenger from my phone, I can't see the questions as fast because my phone is where I see them. My computer is very slow, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I can try to call you for Messenger on my computer, and then I can look at my phone because it's got such a lag time on the computer.
Okay, that would be good.
Okay.
Bye. Okay, so I would love any questions, comments, observations. I wanted to just kind of review what we've been through this week. It's a lot, and it was very fun. It was very, very fun. I love. Hello. Okay, so I was just before, I was just going to review, Shannon, what we've been through this week. So the first day, if you didn't get to see all of them, I would go back and watch because it was, pretty purposely built up to this moment. And we didn't have a lot of time for Q&A, so I'm sure as I review, you might start thinking of some questions. So the first day, we looked at the physical body of an animal. We looked at the invisible systems, the chakras, the nerves, the meridians, the cellular, the muscle memory, the neural pathways. And then we looked at the physical body itself and how body work is so important for animals to be able to release their emotions, traumas, and experiences. And then day 2, we looked at the energy field and how we can impact our own energy field, and how we can be looking at ourselves as the emotional leader. And then on the third day, we got to dip into chakras. And on the fourth day, we had the bonus of a field trip to the Gentle Barn. Plus, we did a little bit of tapping on her horse, Hero. And then yesterday, we had Marie Christine show us the triple warmer release. Marie Christine and I have a class coming out in the fall called Subtle Energies for Animals with Marie Christine. So that was very fun, and I'm familiar enough with acupressure and the meridians that I could probably answer those questions, but I can certainly have Marie Christine come in if you want to type in questions about yesterday. So Shannon, has anything come in? Is Shannon still here?
Okay. When you do polarity, do you go on to the right to left or left to right?
You go on our right to left and their right to left, but when you're looking at them, it appears to be left to right because your left is their right if you're facing them. If you're up over like a little kitty or a small dog, then it would be, if you're standing with both of your faces facing out, then it would be right to left. And I better not say much more or I'll just confuse everybody.
And then Gwendolyn said, is there some way to know whether a cat I have now will accept a new cat in the household? I recently lost a cat and my number one cat, Sunny, wasn't very nice to him. Of course, she misses him now.
Oh. That, to me, is something that working with a really solid animal communicator, if you aren't trusting your own ability, is how I would start. And also, if you are committed to getting the cat without consent, if you will, if you know, let's say right now your cat says, no, I don't want another cat, but you know that your cat needs the companionship and that they're just in a funky grief right now and, recalibration, if you will, then I would start creating pictures where it's like I'm bringing in this new cat, or even if you've picked one out, you start with that. You start with the talking about it all the time, because when we talk, we're sending pictures. So that's why animals do understand us. I had a dog named Isabella and Delilah that we still have. And when we got Abby, it's a long story how it came to be, but when I kept telling Abby that I kept telling Delilah and Isabella that we were going up to Vegas and we were going to go stay at a friend's and bring back Abby, their new sister. And I just repeatedly told them that story. So they were like ready to get in the car. We went to my friend Jen's house in Las Vegas, and the whole time Jen, who'd done the program, talked to Abby about the same thing. Your sisters are going to come and pick you up, and you're going to go to your new home. And that went on for a couple weeks, and I have to tell you, it was the cutest. I have the cutest pictures of the moment they met. It just was magical, and it's gone well. It went very well with Penelope, but there were some things with the cats because she came from a house where cats played wildly with her. But I'm always just letting them know what this is going to be like, what this next transition will be like. I say it over and over and over again. So, first I would find out if she wants somebody and what she would want. And then second, if it is something that you've already made a decision about, engage her in the process. And you might ask her what kind of companion she wants. Does she want somebody young? Does she want somebody to play with? Does she want somebody to sleep with? All of those things. So I hope that helps. We have lots of people needing their case studies. So you can always write to Sessions at Joan Ranquet if you need animal communication, Scalar Wave, or EFT with your animals. You can get an appointment with one of my fabulous students, advanced students. Okay, next, Shannon.
All right, thank you, Joan. From Lisa Lavelle, it says she almost lost a baby foal to colic. She was in lots of pain, and the vet came to help. She's doing better, but he said it might be an ulcer. Is there anything that you covered this week that might do for her? He told me that foals can die from ulcers, and we don't want to wait for that to happen.
Yeah, I had the same thing with Pony Boy. And if I knew what I knew now, life would be really different with that. So no, there's nothing that we covered, but I will put my Dynamite link in here because getting the foal on the Miracle Clay is going to be better than Ulcer Guard or whatever it is that they safeguard. I forget I think it's Ulcer Guard, and it's so tough on their systems when they're so young. So, you might do the blast that the vet is saying, but long term, I would be looking at probiotics, and then we have something called Miracle Clay, and I'll put that in after this. Okay. Shannon.
Okay, thank you. So Deborah says, what is flushing? I want to say thank you for your hard work. You're wonderful. When I'm really upset or scared or depressed, how do I make sure that I support my loved ones? You spoke about being the emotional leader, and I don't know what to do when I'm feeling traumatized. So I guess there's two questions.
Yeah, okay, so flushing, I don't know. That will have Marie Christine come in and look. So I would put that in a separate, if we could tag Marie Christine, Shannon, that would be great.
Yeah, will do.
Tag Debbie and Marie Christine in the same line if you could. That's a great question. So I remember when I moved into this house, my friend came over and she saw a tennis racket and she's like, I didn't know you played tennis. I'm like, I don't. I just every now and then kick all my animals out of the bedroom and have at it with the tennis racket in the bed and cuss at whatever it is that I'm mad about. But I find that if you think, let's say you're setting the intention for harmony in your home, it doesn't mean that you're always going to be humming at the same frequency. That would be one note, right? So there are going to be days that you're going to be just so excited and days that you might plummet into something, and there's going to be days that like, wow, Henry the cat woke up in a great mood. Whoa, Henry's really grieving something that happened 3 years ago. Wow, Delilah woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and Dracar's got something in his eye. I mean, it's all like, it's not like I'm just going to ohm a bunch and be the leader. Being an emotional leader is doing things like saying, don't take this on. One of the things we did on Tuesday was we talked about having the bubbles, like bubbling up your animals so that they're not taking your stuff on. Taking time to acknowledge and be with your own emotions, but just remind your animals that like, hey, I've got some people stuff I'm working through. You all be you. It's not being enmeshed. We enmesh, and it's learning how to unenmesh and being responsible for your feelings, but not having it be something that is, I don't want to say that we're bleeding out in our homes all the time, but I remember I had an apartment in LA for years, and it was a beautiful, like, courtyard, bougainvillea everywhere, 1920s building, and I was there after several incidents, and I knew that it was time to move. In order to make a change, those walls held so much of my old grief and stuff that I had to move. I literally had to physically move. And when I did that, I, even though I ended up divorced, I, got married, and the first few years were like really great. So that change that I needed happened because I knew I needed to get out of that. So we don't want our homes to be this container of our released trauma. And in a funny way, I mean, I'm about to do I have a few weeks off from school, and while I'll be writing a lot for the school and doing a lot of stuff, I'm going to be doing some home projects, and part of it is to move that energy, that, any stuck energy I've had here. And I'm always aware. Shannon knows I've had this favorite feng shui book forever, and I finally got to meet the author, and she came here and did my house exactly a year ago. And all the changes I wanted are, in the way that we set the intention, are in motion. And so if we are working through a lot of trauma, which I've had my share, we even want to take care of our house, you know what I mean? Or our home, or our apartment, or our dwelling, whatever, our bedroom. Wherever it is that we are releasing a lot, we don't want it contained, if that even makes sense, in that space. And I know that's a hard thing to talk about, and I didn't mean to kind of go down that path, but I think it's really important because as we're working through our stuff, it's really about self-care and self-nurturing to make sure that it's released in a way that is not, like I said, being held in the house, but rather being held in our heart but released. So I think the other thing, going to what I just spoke of, the self-care factor, self-care goes a long way. So when you're having those times where you're feeling really bad, implementing a little self-care schedule is absolutely part of picking yourself back up again, if you will, after experiencing something hard. And that also plays into the frequency in the household. So you can either do it energetically, like making sure that you're out, that you're finding the way to release, and there's the self-care, or you literally just say to your animals, please don't take this on, and bubble them up. So, and that was a really long answer, but I hear you loud and clear. I have had some trauma in my life, some things, and as I've worked through it, I've had to make sure that my animals are not taking that on. And it's a fine line. It's a balance, and it's a check-in every day. Because something like even getting some great news can turn your house sideways. I remember I got a book when I got my first book deal with Hay House. I was like sideways with joy. And I could have gotten bucked off a horse in a minute. I was vibrating. So, good news can do it too. So it's just always just huge self-awareness. Okay.
Okay. We ready? All right, we've got Daniela from Croatia. Hi, Daniela. And
Hi.
She says she's very grateful for this. Hi. She's very grateful for this masterclass. She has a question regarding EFT. Is it generally not practiced on animals in order to change their behavior, rather to help them handle emotional issues and burdens they might have or be facing?
So that's a great question. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well,
In order to achieve better quality of life, an example would be you've tapped on Hero, not Ruby, in the Gentle Barn. You did an attempt to try to change Ruby's behavior. I think that was the name of the other horse that was bullying Hero. Yeah, so I guess they want to know, like, I saw a lot of people asking that the other day, just tapping on Hero for her emotional stuff versus the behavior of Ruby. It seems to be the question, if you could clarify it.
Yeah, I love that question. Okay, that's a perfect situation. And I was actually thinking about that this morning on my hike. Like, should I see if Ellie wants to tap on Ruby? Because originally we had a heat wave. I don't know if you remember, like a few weeks ago, the world seemed to have a heat wave. And I was supposed to go over and tap on Ruby and Hero because we had talked to them in the advanced animal communication class. And so I said, oh, I'll come over tomorrow. I'm not teaching. We'll tap on them. And we ended up in the AC in her house having a huge lunch and talking for 3 hours instead of tapping, because there was no way we were going to go outside. It was 110. So I've thought a lot about that. That was, I think, about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And that's why we picked Hero to tap on. So Hero getting to express her feelings about, the mean girls of the Gentle Barn. Like, that sort of thing was such a release for her that she may not feel so victimized if she were to put them together. But I know Ellie doesn't want to risk putting them together and has figured out a management situation that's working. But I was thinking about, what if I did tap on Ruby, where would I start? And I would start with a little more animal communication, because I think that it's been her turn to be the queen, and I would probably go in and see how she feels, and then I would, if I wanted to shift the behavior, I still am going to start with the emotion of it. And so I don't know, because I haven't done the communication with her, but what I do know is, it could be anything from feeling like she's earned this position to, it could go anywhere. And that being said, I would probably move it to being a benevolent queen. I would start visioning that. And I also might give her the title of the peacekeeper, right? So I'd start playing in that department. I do it for behavior, but we're getting to it from the underlying emotions that are creating the behavior, if that makes sense. Let me think of an example. Okay, so I told the story in the tapping on Thursday in that live. I had told my 2 horses that I was bringing Drakkar home, and then we get Drakkar home, and my 2 horses just act like they hate him. And at first, it went okay, but there's no way I wanted to put them out together, because I was really nervous, because I have a 34-year-old horse. Last year she was 33, but I was a little more nervous because it wasn't starting out as great as I thought it was going to go. And Anya, who's 20, was super bitchy to him, and I was just shocked, because she really was so great with my other guy. And I had been told in the beginning that she hated other horses and she hated dogs, and she was isolated at the barn where I got her from, away from horses, because they said she was such a bitch. And I just put her in a herd, and when I got her, and they did great. There were some bitchy moments, but it was fine. In the end, it was beautiful. It was amazing. So I was a little surprised. So her behavior was that she was super, not aggressive, but like, and I didn't want him to get kicked. I didn't want him to bite her. I didn't want, all that stuff. So I started treating them like I would if I needed to put two dogs together that didn't get along. At the time, Claudia was working here, so she'd walk one horse, one direct. We just kept walking them together. And then I'd walk two, and Claudia would walk one. And we just did a lot of that, so they had to be around each other. But it still wasn't great. And then I had told the story in the live. I was driving home from dinner over at the Gentle Barn, and I heard this song that reminded me of Raleigh. And I don't anymore, but for about 4 years, I would cry when I heard that song. And it hit me so hard, like a ton of bricks. Like he was saying, Anya's still grieving me, and she's got to let this go. So the next morning, I tapped on Anya, her grief, and she literally went into heat and fell in love with him. Then that minute, like I wasn't even done tapping, and she went into heat, like literally went into heat. And so more like public, he can't do it, but now if he were a stallion, I'd have a lot different worries. She'd be pregnant all the time. So I changed her behavior through the emotion when I got to the emotion, and that's where animal communication comes in so well, or dead animals channeling through music. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Okay, Gloria. Hi, Gloria. I had an Animal Empath discovery call with you yesterday. Welcome. She has a question. Yes, love Joan. Can you talk about how to recognize when we are enmeshing? Sometimes I accidentally, unknowingly take on the animal's health challenge. The client/animal doesn't have it anymore, but then I do. So far, I clear them, but I don't do it knowingly. I sent Shannon an email with this question as well. Thanks for joining us.
So what do you do? What does she do for work that she's taking on client stuff? What do I do? I mean, honest to God, I do the Scalar Wave before I meditate every single day. And I always say that whether I want to change behavior or shift, an illness, a health challenge, the beginning step of that is relaxation. And so at the very least, the Scalar Wave is going to help me hit a level of relaxation. Secondly, and very importantly, it gives me a very profound sense of what's going on. Just like we were talking about how do I be the emotional leader if I'm going through trauma, and I talked about self-awareness. To me, Scalar Wave is like one of the most profound ways to find my own self-diagnosis every morning, because there are 3 steps to it, right? There's running the energy, clearing the chakras, and bringing in the Scalar Wave. That first step of running the energy, to me, is the best diagnostic tool next to medical intuition on the planet. So I know what is going on with my own physical, emotional, and energetic beingness. And in knowing that, I'm able to really, it's almost like it cuts the cords right there to anyone else, except that my field of energy is delicious enough that my animals all come into being with me when I do it. I meditated with my horses this morning, and that was really fun. They were all around, so were a few flies, but it was great. And the field of energy that you create for yourself is delicious, but it's a wave of energy, and incoherence it's a coherent field, and standing wave of energy is always stronger than chaos or incoherence. So that's, I mean, honest to God, that's probably the best way I can think of, is just having really solid, going back to that emotional leader question, self-care practices daily that you do that puts you in awareness and helps you notice, because it's almost like a check-in with yourself every day. And certainly there are things that, like, like I get up at 6 a.m. to go feed my horses, and discover that my neighbor's horses are here, and I ended up getting trampled because I was not in my, if I hadn't heard something weird and gotten out of bed, if I'd done my normal thing of meditated before I went down, it would have been a different outcome. But instead I was sleepy and not grounded as I could have been, and just wanted to get the horses over to the neighbor's house. And one got scared the other, and down I went. So, there are things that still happen, but for the most part, I feel very protected and very, in my line of work, just being an animal communicator, I would do 6-7 appointments a day, 5 days a week. So I had to have install some amazing self-care practices. So I think it comes back to that self-care, and the best way I know is, honest to God, is the scalar wave. I mean, even if you did that just for yourself, you automatically raise the frequency of everyone around you once you get into a good, solid practice of that. So healing becomes even easier, because it becomes something that you're being and facilitating, not necessarily doing, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Shannon?
Yes, and Gloria said, okay, thank you. And I wholeheartedly agree. Thanks to you and these classes, I do Scalar every day. And
Good.
I was doing it outside the other day. I think I told you, my horses were coming into really, really close, like touching me. When I opened my eyes, they were off eating grass, and they were all they were way more in my morphic resonance than they were all up touching me, benefiting from that energy. It's super powerful. I just did it today before I had to go to Walmart just to protect myself.
Yeah, scalar wave before Walmart. Good idea.
Yep. And now, of course, we have a few people. Beverly and Susan are asking scalar wave, ? Can you describe that?
Yeah. And I am just checking on the time, because today is having a little teacher training fun today, so I have to keep an eye on the time.
We have 20 minutes, but
Okay.
I got 15 minutes.
Yeah. And I will say that today's, after today, the school is taking a break. So the scalar wave is an energy technique that is, like I said, at the very least, by going through the whole thing every day or working on an animal with it, it has diagnostic abilities, it has relaxation, and then ultimately it's a powerful, focused tool for healing. It is a way of single-mindedly focusing on an issue like kidney disease, even that fungus in the ear, like that's where I would look at, with that first question about the fungus, I would say going in, doing scalar wave, you'd have to get the person's permission, of course, but doing a scalar wave on the whole body, and then whatever system you felt was weakest that was inviting the fungus, is where I would focus the attention and change the diet and look around at the environment at what other toxins could be weakening a system to create systemic fungus. But so that's the sort of thing that, like, I start with that. I start with that with me every day. I start with that with animals. We did it in class on Thursday night, and I led the whole group through it. And I hadn't worked on my cat Henry in a couple of years, and I took a picture of him afterwards. He looked stoned and so disoriented. It was like he was off on. I mean, he's my wake and bake dude. He loves catnip more than anything anyway. So it was a good time for Henry. He didn't mind being a little disoriented, but it really is very powerful, and so I use it for, let's see, I use it for, well, Shannon uses it for her horses when she thinks that they're colicking. We use it for all sorts of, just, I mean, you name
his lungs.
Clearing horses' lungs. Oh, we've been working on a little baby that was born weeks early, and the parents both tested positive for COVID, so they couldn't even touch their little baby. And so a few of us worked around the clock and cleared the lungs. And in the Scalar Wave course that I have, there's little clearing techniques and other what I call little, almost like psychic surgeries. But so it's a very powerful technique that if you just got started on yourself, you would be in great, you would really be in great shape. I've been doing it, I've been doing it, means, sometimes I fall out and I don't do it every single day, but pretty much every day for almost, like 27 years. I've been teaching it for 24 years. So it's so powerful, and it's one of the things that we do in the energy healing for animals in the intensive that's this fall. So
that's what I was going to say, Joan. A lot of people are asking how can they learn it. So if you could cover that, that'd be great.
Okay, how can you learn it? So there's 3 ways. One, you could buy the bundle. We've got the bundle that's for sale right now. And we can make sure that the link goes into, so the bundle,
I can put it in there.
Energy Healing for Animals Fundamentals. It includes the bonus. It's a 12-week digital course, and it includes the bonus of Scalar Wave and EFT. So for $397, you're getting $900 worth of classes, and that's step 1. And then in November, I teach it as a live course, Energy Healing for Animals Level 1. So if you bought Fundamentals now and you wanted to upgrade because you wanted to really learn the EFT tapping and be on live calls with me when we do the scalar, then you could upgrade, and we include your investment into the bundle. The other thing is, if you signed up for the intensive, you could have that whole bundle for free. And the intensive is October 1st through the 9th, and just the Energy Healing for Animals part is the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And in the intensive, we go into more of the energy fields. Some people will be allowed to be here live in person, and some people will be Zooming in. And if you want to be live in person, you have to sign up pretty quick because those spots are going to go. We have lots of... So the first 3 days is animal communication. Then the second 3 days is animals in transition, death, dying, and beyond. And that's really all about connecting with animals that have crossed over, learning how to work with holding space for clients if they are, grieving or about to lose someone. And then we do the energy healing for animals in person. And we play a lot with polarity, and we have lots of exercises where you get to experience the energy fields. I've been known to, I've got these little guys, you know, we've got all, Jesus, I almost stabbed myself with my, yeah, anyway, there's so much fun to be had with the energy. We pull out all the toys, but we really understand the energy field, and in the intensive we do it in person and remotely. So you work on, if you're virtual, if you're on Zoom, you'll work on your animal at home, and then we also pair up and work on each other's animals. And yeah, there's all kinds of ways that we do that. And the same with in the Energy Healing for Animals Level 1 class in the fall. That's, you know, you become a pretty good tapper, and you become a pretty good scalar waver, because you have lots of practice. And then also there's, of course, the Energy Healing for Animals single certification course, and that's very much part of it. And then you would have to do a lot of case studies. So you'd have to do 65 EFT, 65 scalar. And then there's the big program where you'd be doing animal communication and energy healing for animals, certified in all three. So there you go.
Yeah, and if any and all of that is confusing, you can send
me
an email at info@joanranquet.com, which I'll put in there once I'm done with all my devices.
Yeah.
And we have one more quick question, Joan, from Becky, and she had a general question. She said she's not able to sense energy in any way during meditation. She asks for energy things, and she imagines it, but that's it. There's no verification or way to measure. Can she still do this work, given she feels like that she has that limitation? Can she still do this work?
Yeah, of course. What's her name? What is her name?
It is Becky Oldham.
Becky.
Oldham.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Becky, I want you for 1 minute, and everyone, for 1 minute, just rub your hands together. Now pull them apart, and what do you feel? And pull them even further apart. Do you still feel that connection? Do you still feel energy? And pull them out here. Do you still feel that? And go ahead, Becky, please type in and tell me if you feel that, if you feel anything once you keep, and then take them away and put them back up again. And it's, I mean, it should still be there.
Yeah, she said she feels that.
Okay, so imagine you are, especially with something like the scalar, you are laser focused on something like a cat with kidney disease. You're taking that energy and going in there. And then with EFT, it's that energy with the intention of releasing the emotion. Every energy healing modality has one thing in common, and that is intention. And the intention is what counts. And as then you start to build that muscle, and you start to see, oh, this is working. Then all that experience and success, I don't like that word with this, but you know, experience where you've been part of somebody else's transformation is in your field of energy, and now you're bringing that to it. That's, you start with just yourself and others around you, and then you build. It's really building a muscle. So starting with feeling that and knowing that that exists, we have to work in faith at first, because it might not be what the rest of our world is thinking is normal, right? You might be around people that don't get it, so it might solidify even more the idea that it's a big mystery if it's working or not. But the way that we work in the school, and particularly in the live classes, is constantly for verification, constantly. And that builds the muscle. All right. Well,
wonderful message from Deborah. Do we have time to hear her message?
Yes.
Yeah. She said, I want to ask you how to participate in healing of the animal collective. The overwhelming amount of trauma to animals that animals are subject to is heartbreaking. I feel myself take it in and I get angry. And of course I know that my anger doesn't help, that they're trouble. I also wanted to say I'm really grateful to you for all that you do. I feel your witnessing of all the beings as sacred. It means the world to me to see that a teacher honors the animals in thought, word, and deed. Far too often I see teachers that don't recognize the beings as sacred. Thank you so much for your teachings. And that was from Deborah. So she wants to know how can she participate in healing of the collective. I think you did a great video on that, didn't you?
Yeah, you know what? I know I've got some videos on compassion fatigue. So I think one of the ways that, where was that video? We have something, but one of the lives, I think. I don't know. That's a great.
It was a live. We did an EFT tapping for that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it during fires or something? That would be a great theme for something coming up. So can you, Shannon, will you write that down, please? And then I will think about how
Absolutely.
Maybe we do that. Yeah, we could do that in a live here. But the first thing is looking at your compassion fatigue, and I will find whatever tapping I have on that. I think I've got some tapping. So looking at your compassion fatigue, letting those feelings out. And then, honestly, something like the Scalar Wave, where it's like, how do I help everyone? I start with raising my frequency. I start here. I start with the idea that I am causal of my reality. I'm going to choose. I was thinking about this a lot on my hike because Shannon and I were in a discussion yesterday about, like, you look this way and there's fear, and you look this way and there's fear right now in the world. And I just, my job right now is to stay steady and on course with being happy in my life. And if I'm not that, then there's a lot riding on me not making that choice every day. And when I say a lot riding, I mean my animals, my school, and all the animals that we're all helping as a collective here just in this group. So it's my job to do all those self-care things to prop me up, if you will. So it's finding a way to release those emotions, looking at how much the compassion fatigue is taking you down, and then really accepting the fact that you start here, because your ability to raise your own frequency, to be in joy, to be in happiness, to be in a state of being that is healing, is what's going to naturally create that field of energy that others want to be in. And if enough of us are doing that, there will be more light than there will be dark. And that's what we have to think about, is like, we have to be the collective light. And as we keep broadening out and keep reaching out and keep getting more and more and more people and animals into that light, then the other can't exist. And so that's where we have to start, is with managing our own emotions around it and being in that state of being that is healing for ourselves and others. I hope that helps.
That was wonderful. Well, we've got about 4 minutes till your next
all right, I have to go teach the
class.
Teachers.
Yeah.
I gets to go work.
There's a couple questions. I didn't know if you want to answer them later or...
Yeah, I'll come in and look later. Okay. Thank you.